everyone, I am Erika of beadingschool.com and you are watching Coffee Time with Erika, my weekly beady broadcast. Today I am going to show you 3 little beading tricks that I use all the time. 2 of them are to help you to make your beaded motif into a finished piece of jewel. And one of them is just a tiny little extra that maybe you even know, but it is definitely something helpful at the beginning of the beading journey of our new beaders. I see Marianska joining us, and Vanya is here also. Katja, Tanya, Liv, Katie, Faye is here already. Sarah is here. And I hope that you can hear me and see me, ladies. Wendy is here also, and Connie, Antoinette, Belinda. So ladies, first of all, cheers. I hope you have a nice cup of coffee or tea. I definitely need one today. We are working incredibly hard these days with the Beading School Advent Calendar and also, of course, with some other things. So here it is, my third. Okay, I always drink double, so 5th and 6th coffee in one. Corinne, Kata, Martine, Christine, Anniko. Vanya is having a cup of coffee. Tanya is already on dinner. Then 8:00. Enjoy your meal, Tanya. So, let's get started with the beading tricks. You might say that the trick that or like a little design addition that I do most often is adding a rhinestone in the middle of a motif. And it's definitely something that I love doing, as rhinestones fit everywhere and you can attach them pretty much on top of every gap and hole and bead. However, that's not something that we are going to talk about today. So another little trick that is very handy to do, and it's a very easy way to add a little extra bling to your beading, is to hang something at the bottom of your motif. You can hang many different things at the bottom of your motif. You can hang metal charms, you can hang more beads, you can hang pendants, whatever you like. And usually these components, they have a little loop at the top that determines that how can you attach the hanger to the bottom of your beaded motif. You have the easiest job if the loop of the component that you would like to attach is horizontal and it's running side to side, because in that case you can simply bead through it and attach it to a bead at the bottom of your motif. You can also, some of them have an open hole, so you can just open the loop and then attach it at the bottom of your beadwork, and it's also pretty easy if the whole of the bead or the sequence that you would like to attach runs from the top to the bottom, because then you can just bead back and forth. However, I get quite a lot of questions how to attach a drop which hole runs from the front to the back and still make the drop face in the right way. Because if we attached the drop in this way, then as you can imagine, the drop would turn sideways, and we need to add it, of course, in a way that the colorful side is towards us. So I get lots of questions how to do that. So that's something that I would like to demonstrate today. So that will be my first little trick that I would like to show you. I even have here a little illustration. The jewel that I have here is the Margaret earring. I was and I am still waiting for the correct glass drop in metal setting. I am just attaching one temporarily now because I still don't have the yellow one, but I wanted to show it. How do I do it? I know that Vanya asked for it also in the past. And she's just saying, so happy that you are doing it. I'm glad that I can be of help. In the meanwhile, Erika joined, and Christina and Ludka, and some more beaders whom I can't see just as Facebook users. And indeed, one of our friends says the instructions on the San Remi use a drop like that, I believe. The instructions were great. Thank you so much. I'm really happy that you find them easy to follow. I always try to add little features that make it easier. And indeed, this is the drop. It was a glass drop that I attached at the bottom of my San Remi earring and pendant. And now I will attach a glass drop in metal setting. You can use this little trick with whatever charm or drop you would like to attach. Important is that, as you can see, the hole of the drops is running from the front to the back instead of sidewise left to right. That would make it easy. Now we need to make a little trick. However, it's also easy, so don't be worried. It's fast and very, very doable. So I am holding this finished beaded motif in my left hand, and my thread is hanging from the bead where I would like to attach the drop. Now I will pick up 3 round 15 seed beads on my beading needle. This number, the number of the round 15s, it depends on the size and how the shape of your drop. So as you can see on the illustration, I have 5 pieces of round 15 seed beads, because indeed when I was attaching this particular glass drop, then I needed 5 seed beads to cover the distance between the hole and between the bottom of the beaded motif. But in this case, it will be enough to use 3 seed beads. So I have 3 seed beads on my thread, and then I bead through the pendant from the front to the back. In case that your hanger, your charm is identical from the front and the back, then you don't need to be that particular about this. But of course, with these pendants, which have a different backside than the front, you have to be careful. So I have the 3 seed beads, I have the glass drop in metal setting from front to back, and then I pick up 3 more round 15 seed beads. Now I push my needle through the bead at the very bottom of the beaded motif that I'm working with, and I go in the opposite direction as before. So my thread is exiting towards the left side of the bead, and I am entering again the bead from the left. So when I pull my thread, then you can see that the glass drop is hanging kind of sideways. And you might say, like, Erika, you are doing it wrong. But this is exactly what I wanted to achieve. And to even it out, this was the first half of what we were doing. And now, to even out the drop, now my thread is hanging towards the right, and I start beading backwards. So first, I bead through the second group of 3 seed beads that I have added. Then I bead again through the glass drop in metal setting, but this time I bead through it from the back to the front, and then I bead back also through the first group of beads that I have added. So I am actually tracing back my thread path, and I finish it off by beading through the seed bead at the bottom of the beaded motif in my original direction. So when I pull my thread, then I can show you what's important is that the front thread, the seed beads on the front and the seed beads on the back, both groups, they are connected to the left and also to the right side of the bead at the bottom of the motif. And lately, what I like to do is that I bead one time through the seed beads that I have added that are holding the drop, and the drop, of course, itself. And then I skip the seed bead that is at the bottom of the motif. So I am beading only through the seed beads that are holding the pendant and the pendant itself, and this makes the loop shaped like a raindrop. So for me, it looks a little bit more elegant this way. And now I can continue, and if I wanted to, then I could continue beading, or I could attach more motifs, whatever you like. So this was my first little trick that I wanted to show you. And Katie says this is such a handy trick indeed. And Facebook user friend says, so easy when you do it. This is really what I needed to know. I'm really glad that it helped. So first trick is done. We attached a drop that has a hole running from the front to the back. This is it. I will have to frog it as it's not the beautiful yellow drop that I want and I can't find one. Whatever, I will do it later. So, okay, next on our to-do list, sip of coffee. And we have a question here. So the first seed bead has the thread going on each side. Indeed, the thread, how we have the beads on top of each other. Then the last seed bead at the top, there are two threads coming out of it, and one of them goes from the right and one of them goes to the left. So that's the trick, how you can even it out. And Vania says it looks good with the blue. Thank you so much. However, I have a piece done with yellow, so I will have to wait for the yellow one. Then I have a second trick for you. And this is for correcting an actually pretty common mistake that we make. It happens to me when I'm pushing it a bit hard. And this, when I was finishing, this is the Tirana necklace. We beaded it during a No One Has to Bead Alone session last year. So I was beading it in the evening when the light was not so good. And what happened that I noticed the next day that I have a loop of thread hanging here. And don't worry, if it happens to you, you can still hide it. With my thread, I was already like nearly cutting off my remaining thread when I noticed that this happened. So what I need to do, I need to bead back to that spot where this loop is hanging from. Luckily, I haven't cut my working end yet, so it's easy, I just go back. But even if you have a piece that you have already finished, you cut off all your thread ends, you can always add new thread. So it is still solvable, don't worry about it. So first, I am just going back to that spot where I have the loop, carefully, because at this point, you might have the holes filled up with quite a lot of thread. So you don't want to break a bead accidentally, of course. And now I want to make sure, okay, my thread is hanging from exactly the same point where I have the loop. What I do here that I want to anchor my working thread around the loop. So I basically tie a knot to the loop. I bead through the loop and then I bead through my working thread. So I am tying a knot on the loop. And it means that when I continue beading, then I will pull the loop itself together with my working end. And now I can just continue. And just when you are working with a thread end, I will just continue for about like 5-10 centimeters to make sure that everything is secure, everything is sturdy. And then you can just cut off your thread end, and that's it. Your loop is gone. Easy, easy. And I can finally wear my Tirana necklace. I think it actually oh, okay, I will put it on now because the colors are just exactly, this is such a coincidence. The colors are exactly the colors of this blues. It is vintage, by the way, Vania. You said that you like vintage things. So it's exactly the color of my blues. So why not putting it on? What do you think? And I'm really glad Oh, okay. I see. This is. Wendy says, I felt like the world's biggest cheat for doing that. Thank you for lifting that guilt off me. Wendy, that's so funny. Nothing wrong with that, I think. Super easy. And I have a third little trick that I know in particular that Faye wanted to see. And also other beaders from you wanted to see it, and somehow I couldn't get to it yet. Biggest obstacle is time. I have so many things that I would love to like share with you and show you and everything, but yeah, I thought that today would be the day finally. So Faye had a question recently that how do you sew a brooch base on the back of a beaded motif? I think during the last year or two in the beading school club, we really started to like beaded brooches. We beaded many of them. I think Zuzi was the one who started the trend originally, so thank you so much, Zuzi. There are many different brooch bases available, and you can make some very nice jewels. Especially, I find this nice for autumn and winter. So when I go out, then my jewel is still visible. I love using this filigree, vintage looking filigree brooch bases, and they come in many different shapes. And there are two different ways, or actually just a third way came to my mind, how you can attach them. So I just prepared some so I can show you some examples what I am talking about. This was the Samoa, and so funny, these are actually the same. This is the same motif, these two, but in two different colors and with two different brooch bases. I think it's fun to see how different in style they can become. Or this one. Sorry, Vanya wants to see the back of this one. It was in the Vintage Lover box. I think it's not available on its own in the bead shop yet, but we had this brooch base in the Vintage Lover box. So basically, there are two different ways how you can attach a beaded motif to a filigree base. I will start with the easier, faster, and some would say that it's a bit of a cheating. However, if you do it with high quality glue, then I think there is nothing wrong with gluing on a beaded motif to a brooch base. So this is the 𝐻𝐋𝐋𝐿 motif that we beaded together last week during No One Has to Bead Alone. And except the brooch base, everything comes from the Starry Night box. Here, I could not find a way to sew on, or yeah, I was also a bit lazy, to sew on the beaded motif to the brooch base. So what I did here, that I applied a generous amount of glue on my brooch base, and then I gently pushed my beaded motif into the brooch base. I did it sometimes during the day, so then I put the beaded motif next to me, and I kept an eye on it to make sure that the motif stays where I would like it to stay. However, you can also sew on the beaded motif, and that's what Faye wanted to see. And these are like the brooch bases I am talking about. So as you can see, these brooch bases have holes, and holes are made for sewing, I think. So that's what we are going to do now. The first thing what you would like to be careful about when you want to make a beaded brooch like this, that after you add your last beads, then make sure that your motif is sturdy. So I like to at first bead all around 1 or 2 times so it becomes sturdy, and even if if an unlikely incident happens that somehow the thread breaks, like I have to say that it hasn't happened to me yet that the brooch would cut my thread, but I like to be prepared. So even if that would happen, then I want my beaded motif to stay in one piece so I can utilize it later. So first, make it sturdy. Bead around 1 or 2 times as if you were about to finish your motif. Also, I really recommend to secure and trim your tail end. As you can see, there is no tail hanging from this motif that I am going to use now, because with some of the motifs, it can become a bit like less easy, not so comfortable to tuck in your tail end. So first do that and then move on to attaching the metal. And in the meanwhile, we had a question. Martina is asking, what kind of glue do you use for that? Indeed, as Katja says, thank you so much, Katja, for answering right away. I use E6000. When I really want something to stay where it is supposed to stay, then I always use E6000. And Lutka says that she's actually combining the two ways that she's adding, and that's really, really nice, Lutka. Thank you so much. And she adds a bit of glue and then sews the brooch on. So let's start beading. I beaded the Shiraz motif that you might remember as a bracelet, but as basically all the beaded motifs that we are working with. And hi, Miriam! It can become anything that you would like it to be. So I also made a pair of earrings from it. And I already made actually a brooch. And for that first brooch, I used this thin one. It also came in your vintage lover box, but I don't have it anymore. And now I am going to attach it to a different kind of brooch base. So when I am about to attach it, then I don't know right away which brooch base would I like to use. So often I just grab some different ones, and I just keep trying and until I find one which seems to be suitable. This one would also look nice, I think. Not the circular one. I'm pretty sure about that. Not this one. It's too big of a contrast between the square shape and the nice oval, I think. And hi, Cynthia, and hi, Ginny. Ginny also glues it always a bit. So for this Shiraz motif, I chose this 4-clover brooch base. The difference between the original Shiraz motif and this is that I added some 3mm Preciosa bicones, and a size 11 delica in between on every corner. And my thread is hanging from one of the delica beads. And before I would start attaching, I want to see that where exactly those delica beads will be placed. So I don't want it to accidentally happen that my motif would be not exactly in the middle. So as I hold it here, then I see that the delica bead should be attached exactly here where these parts of the filigree meet. So super easy. I will attach the brooch base at 4 places, always through the delica beads. So my thread is exiting the delica, I bead down through the filigree, and then I bead up through the filigree. I bead through the delica, and then I repeat the same. I bead down through the filigree, and I bead up on the other side of this little detail. I like to do this 2 or 3 times. And what you need to be careful about, that as you sew up and down through the filigree, that the sewing down point and the sewing up point should be as close to each other as possible. So it's basically the same as when you are securing your thread at the end, that you don't want the thread to be visible. So you can't do it the way that you go down here and then you come up at a completely different place, because then your thread would be visible on the back side of the brooch, and even if it would be hidden because it's on the back, then it would be vulnerable, as it could be caught by something. And actually, you can at this point still add new beads if you would like to. And I would like to make the corners a bit more rounded and interesting. So I am exiting now the delica bead, and I picked up 5. Let's see if it works with 5. I picked up 5 round 15 seed beads, and then I move to my next point where I would like to attach the brooch base to the beaded motif through the beads. So I never just jump and leave my thread like naked, but I always bead through the beads. And again, here I don't bead through the bicones, but I pick up the 5 seed beads that I add as extra, and then I bead through the delica bead on the corner. I bead down, I bead up, I bead through the delica. And again, to make it safer, I bead down, I bead up, and I bead through the delica. And this is how I will continue all around the beaded motif until I attach it at 4 different points. And then I secure and trim my thread end as usual. And Cynthia, speedy recovery to your granddaughter. And hi, Susie. And Wendy is asking, is there a particular thread type or brand you prefer for attaching to the brooch? Super nice question. Thank you, Wendy. So my go-to thread, what I use in 99.99% of all my beading is Fireline. I use the black satin Fireline, so it doesn't leave dirty marks on my hands. I used to work originally with the smoke gray, but that can leave your beadwork, your hands, even your clothing and your bead mat dirty. So I always use black satin Fireline, and it's the 0.12 millimeter size. That's, I think, the 4LB or 6LB. I will have to check my spool afterwards. So that's it. So ladies, do you have any questions about these particular tips, or do you maybe have some ideas? What should we talk about next time when we have like this beading trick video? Please keep sharing if anything comes to your mind, and I will do my best to help you out. Thank you so much for watching today. And I am not 100% sure that we can have a Friday video this week, but I will keep you updated. I already have the motif for you. If it would not happen, then I will let you know through the Beading School Club. I will make a post about it. So thank you so much for watching today, and wishing you lots of creative ideas and wishing you a nice rest of the day. Goodbye.